those moments where we are on break, you know, there are people who are watching, and like we argued that indeed the Constitution, or perhaps an election, is quite, it's an ecosystem. We're going to look at the political aspect to it, the social aspect to it, the economic aspect, as has been raised by Martin here. And some people would argue that we also know how lawyers operate, and also how, you know, the civil society would operate and all that. It is a whole hula-baloo conversation that will get us to court, and people will make money and then, you know, just get the country down on a ditch. I still ask again, right now as we have this conversation, we really want to push it to a point where we can hold the election in 2026, and that all these factors are not considered, that you make money, you know, just land the country into a ditch and all that?
The greatest threat to a nation, it is lack of fidelity to its constitution.
Okay.
On the 1st of September 2017, Justice David Maraga stood to address the people of Kenya in the morning, and he said, the greatness of a nation lies in its fidelity to the constitution. So when we champion for elections to be held as per the constitution in the year 2026, that is what will make this nation great. Because if you start circumventing the constitution to achieve today's political mood or political players, then what guarantee do you have that tomorrow a despot who comes in and decide to say, since we don't have to hold elections within the 5th year anyway, we can as well hold it on the 8th year or the 10th year. It's unaccepted that the constitution does not need to be followed.
Okay.
So a despot comes and says, no, you don't have to do it on the 5th, 6th, in the 6th year, do it in the 10th. Then when it's done in the 10th, he says, even the second term, do it in the 10th. Or he says, why the term limit? Because the constitution now has become a document of convenience that you can ignore and shun when it doesn't serve your interest. So we must accept that this is what our constitution provides, and we organize our affairs around it. It is not the constitution to organize itself around our affairs. It is us who have brought this document as our governing document, that we organize ourselves around the constitution. And that is why it is my plea to every Kenyan discussing elections today. You should be discussing elections based on your own reading of the constitution and your own calculation of when the 5th year starts and what is the period that the 5th year falls in, and identify for yourself August, the month, and look for the second Tuesday in August.
If the courts were to go by this, and perhaps the entire nation then agrees that yes, doing the math, this makes a lot of sense, and perhaps this is the way to go. But then it puts to consideration the element of public interest, which is also factored in the Constitution. Would it be possible for it to pronounce itself on the same, but argue that maybe we begin doing this kind of calculation after the 2022 general election?
You know, when you talk about public interest, it's in the interest of the public
for us to
apply
follow the
law. Because look at now, for example, the gender question. The gender question,
two-third
gender principle, was meant to have been done more than 10 years ago. But now, because of political conveniences, we've shunned it. But this was a very key issue that the Kenyan people felt that we need to inculcate in our constitution. And you cannot have a country that half the population is left out in governance, and you think you're going to have a safe country. Look at boundaries review. Boundaries review is now 2 years late. You have areas here, Lego, where I come from, go to Ruiru. I think Ruiru now has almost 200,000
200,000 registered voters,
represented by one person.